London. It's a wonderful place, but sadly it's full of scum intent on trickery, thievery and malicious behaviour. This week I found myself dealing with the criminal underworld in central London. Hello and welcome to another one of my videos. I am Alex and I am the Wandering Englishman. A slightly different video this week, but let me give you a little bit of background. I've been renting out apartments on Airbnb and more recently booking.com for years, and yet this week I was exposed to a new type of scam that is causing many innocent people to lose thousands of pounds. The scam has likely been around for a very long time. However, due to the lack of competent policing in London in recent years, my research suggests that this scam has become more and more prolific. The scammer, who will often be working with others, signs up to Airbnb or booking.com and seeks out an available property. They then steal the pictures that are to be found on the booking websites and post an advert on Gumtree. If you're not familiar with Gumtree is very much like Craigslist. Clearly, Gumtree has no care to protect the population, as any man and his dog can set up a profile without checks. And this is exactly what happened to me and my Shoreditch property this week. So what did the scammer / fraudsters do? Well, they made a booking for one night under the most likely of false names or stolen identities. In this case, they booked on booking.com under the name of Shane Doherty. No relation to Pete Doherty, I'm sure. Due to my property being self-check-in, the scammers are able to enter the property and then pretend to be property agents to the people who had responded to their fake Gumtree adverts. The victims were shown around the property and told if they would like to move into the property, they would have to hand over at least 1 month's deposit in cash. It turns out the amounts they were asking for differed every single time. However, one victim to this property was ready to hand over £2,500 in cash. The criminals obviously thought they could collect a lot of cash because despite it being a one-night stay, the criminals had asked me to extend their stay by one night. I said sure, not a problem, as this was before I was aware of what was going on. At 10 AM the next day, I was contacted by a potential victim to the scam. This incredibly smart lady had done her due diligence on the property. She had looked up the property online and found my name was connected to that property. She contacted me via LinkedIn and Airbnb to inform me that my property was being advertised illegally on Gumtree. This revelation of course snapped me into action. I called the police to inform them that there were people at the property trying to scam people out of thousands of pounds, and that a girl who had been in contact with me was willing to assist in conducting a sting operation. Now you would think the police would be pleased that a member of the public was willing to help them out. Instead, the police told me not to go to my own apartment and that the girl to stay away. If you can believe this, they actually said that they would not be helping me out today. However, I had a problem. If the police were not going to help me, I at least needed to get these scumbags out of my apartment and to stop them ripping off innocent people. I headed to my apartment. Obviously, when you go into an unknown situation, your adrenaline starts to increase. I examined the outside of the property and decided to use my key to enter the property. When I arrived, one criminal was inside the property and didn't want to show his face. He pretended to hide in the back bedroom due to having fears of catching COVID-19. I had informed him I was there to fix a broken cupboard and that I would be gone very, very soon. As I pretended to fix the broken cupboard in the kitchen, I reached out to the girls who were almost victims of this gang and asked them to call the police. If the police weren't prepared to catch the criminals in the act, they could at least help me get this man out of my apartment. 45 minutes later, the police arrived. And this is what happened.
Hello, who is it? Come and speak to us. There's been an allegation made against you, mate, about fraud. Would you speak to you about it? We'll come speak to you, come on.
I've got the transcripts connected to your phone. You've been trying to scam people. And you showed people round.
I'm not scamming anybody.
You showed people. I've got witnesses that you showed people round and evidence that you showed people around this flat yesterday acting as an agent. You have contracts on you right now because you're about to try and take £1,000 off. You're trying to scam DSS people.
What are you talking about? I haven't scammed anybody.
You haven't even slept here. There was one. There was. You checked in yesterday. You checked in yesterday.
So listen to what he has to say. So we booked it for last night. Well, where did you sleep then?
It was booked for me last night. I came here this morning. I didn't stay here.
So where's your belongings?
I didn't stay here. I think my mate was staying
You
here.
think your mate? See,
Why is the bed nothing? It doesn't look like it's been lived in, that's the thing.
I'm not too sure. My mate came here.
What's your mate's name?
This morning.
What's your mate's name?
David.
David.
Yeah.
Was the booking via David?
no.
The booking would be for Shane.
Shane.
So I need the keys.
Where's the keys?
I'm not too sure what
do you mean the key?
What is the issue?
The keys, the keys.
Give him the keys.
I'm not too sure. Like I haven't even done anything wrong.
You haven't done anything wrong. You're
My mate booked the place.
so
That
the place was
all,
booked under the name Shane Doherty.
Yep.
But he's called to his victims. He's calling himself Lee.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
You're a terrible scammer.
Someone's meant to come here at 1 o'clock to view the property, and you're here.
Yeah.
Why are you here?
I've just came here today to meet my mate, and he obviously hasn't turned up yet.
Oh, give your mate a call now. See where's that.
I'm not scamming anybody.
You're not scamming
Let's
anyone.
see if your story adds up. Then call your mate on loudspeaker. Let's hear. It all seems a bit sus to all of us. Your mate's not.
We've got lots of transcripts as well.
You can have transcripts. It's not.
You haven't even.
To me, it's not booked to me. I haven't done anything. It's not connected to me.
Have you ever been arrested?
No, it's not connected. It's
Have you ever been arrested?
You're preying on
No.
innocent people.
I'm not. Doing
You are. I
anything.
don't even know how many other people you've scammed.
I'm not doing anything.
And
I'm
so
not
you
scamming
you tried scamming the wrong person.
I'm not scamming anybody, mate. Honestly, so.
They're going to put through a fraud investigation by
They
action
can
fraud.
put any-
We're going to
any
verify your
investigation.
details, and I'm going to give your details to him, so he can put it through to action fraud as well. But we need to verify that's you first. You got any idea on you?
I haven't got anything on me at the moment. I mean, that you can verify anything. I haven't took anything from anybody. So.
I've got transcripts. It's just, there's
You can
pages
have
and
anything.
pages of transcripts.
I don't have any transcripts that I could, like, from me. I haven't sent anybody.
The only way that we could identify him is via booking.com. So
Yeah.
that's why you got to go for action fraud. And also his phone number.
Mhm.
So the phone number that you've got. And
Well,
the
it's
item
going to be a throwaway sim, isn't it?
It's not a throwaway sim.
Come on, we already know it's like a mobile, it's a throwaway sim.
This is one phone.
It's a
that
burn.
I've
It's a
got.
burn. It's a
I
burn.
haven't got loads of
Is
phones.
that like what
It's
network
like
you
a like a.
I'm with, like a mobile, yeah.
But how did you have this number then? Did you give him your number or what?
I'm the landlord, so you had to. Yeah.
He's contacted.
Well, via
He's
booking.com?
contacted my mate.
Via booking.com, it was
Yeah.
really-
You got the number through booking.com.
He called me direct via
Oh, okay.
booking.com. That's how it works.
Oh.
It's not showing up actually.
What? Don't stop scamming people.
I
Is
haven't-
it, why don't you do?
show me
Why
I
don't you
haven't
do
scammed
some real
anybody. I
work?
haven't scammed
Do some real
anybody.
fucking
I
work.
haven't scammed anybody. I haven't scammed anybody.
You
There's a scam going on.
I'm
There
not
is a
sure
scam
about
going
that.
on. We need to find out.
I haven't scammed anybody. I haven't. You can ask. I don't know. There's nothing.
Like I said, it's
there's
a bit
nothing
odd.
been
Someone's
done.
meant to be coming at 1 o'clock to view the property.
There's nobody
I
coming
saw
on
the
mine. I can
messages
show
as
you.
well.
I haven't been viewing anybody.
Show me,
Nobody.
go on, show me.
I haven't viewed
Look at-
property
Show
for
me your
anybody.
WhatsApp and whatnot. Then.
My WhatsApp. You can see my WhatsApp.
Yeah, cool.
I haven't. This is my WhatsApp. I haven't viewed anybody. I'm not sure what's going on here. Look, this is my WhatsApp from today. I've only spoken to my mum.
No, you just delete. You just did the process.
How
Delete.
can I?
It doesn't matter. We have the It doesn't matter because we have the
transcripts.
transcripts. I've got the WhatsApp chats.
So then that's your evidence. There's nothing. I haven't committed
The thing
any
is,
crime.
obviously, evidentially, we got to find out who this person is that he's been having transferred. It could have another phone, or it could be someone else. That's what we
No, because I know he was.
I
Do you
don't
want?
have anything.
We got.
Evidentially, it's a bit difficult.
I don't have anything. So I'm not scamming anybody, mate.
I don't even. Two victims got in contact with me. Two.
It's not me.
So
mate. It's
I
not
don't.
me.
They're the ones that have taken the. There was
It's not
Chinese
me.
people being shown around yesterday.
It's
They
not
haven't
me.
been in contact with me,
It's not me, mate. It's not me.
and I know there were Chinese people because they came out of the flat before the lady came in.
Anything else?
Well, I just think it's shocking.
It's just
Isn't it?
dismissed, yeah.
Shocking that he's not being arrested at this moment in time. But
Like
we've
I
got
said-
we've got a lot of evidence.
Yeah.
Mate, you can have as much evidence as you want. I haven't done.
From our perspective, nothing right here, right now, to prove that he's the one that's done it.
Because he hasn't searched.
I haven't done
Like
anything.
I said,
mate.
we can't search. We can't search
I
anybody.
haven't
There's
committed
no
any
powers.
crime. I haven't committed. I can show you. I haven't got any. I haven't got a phone. I haven't got anything on me. So it's not. I'm not too sure.
Cool. Alright, my colleague will escort you out, alright?
Okay.
Thank you.
That's it, evidentially. We've got nothing right now. This is where the investigation kicks in.
Turn this off now.
I know my interruption stopped some victims losing their money to this criminal gang. I do not know, however, if they did manage to scam anyone out of their money. 3 of the potential victims were new to the country and the City of London and assumed wrongly deposits should be paid in cash. Thankfully, I was at the apartment when they arrived with a bag full of cash. Thankfully, these victims lost nothing that day. Their inconvenience was their wasted time and wasted energy and the expense of travel to my property. The ridiculous thing is, these scammers are still operating. The police clearly had no intention of arresting these scammers or pursuing these scammers, hence the reason I decide to publish this video, because I feel that this sort of information needs to be out there. Because if it stops one person being a victim of this scam, then I've probably achieved something for the day. Because I have to say, my entire day was completely wasted dealing with this problem. Only the next day, another Airbnb owner was targeted on Gumtree by what looked like the same gang. The police appear not to want to do anything, hence I want to make as many people aware of scams like this as possible, so you don't fall victim to the scam either as a landlord or a prospective tenant. London is still my favourite city in the world, and I've experienced most of them. It is for this exact reason I shed a tear for how it is being destroyed with each passing week due to our incompetent leaders who govern over the United Kingdom, England and its capital, Old Londinium. The London of 2021 is not the London of 1921. You would expect England's capital to be made up of the English, and yet since 2011, the English have been a minority in their own city. The politically correct will claim London's greatest strength is its diversity. I simply do not see this, as London has become less homogeneous, the streets have become more and more dangerous. Criminals, gangsters and just everyday scum treat Europe's greatest city as their playground. Law-abiding folk are punished if they dare speak out against lockdowns, and yet when it comes to criminality, the Metropolitan Police care more about diversity quotas than good old-fashioned policing. The terrorist-sympathising Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, would rather channel resources into policing mean tweets and hate speech than hiring police officers who can handle themselves and get the job done. The criminal fraternity laugh when they see the Met being tasked to deal with those holding placards peacefully rather than policing the outer boroughs where crime is rife. They should be shaking with fear at the sound of a police siren, but instead they smirk knowing that they can outrun the short, fat, 5'1" police officer who has been hired for diversity reasons. Our leaders would rather import the third world and sell out this great nation to the highest bidder than care for the nation's identity and the people whose ancestors built this great nation. The United Kingdom was not built overnight, and yet our present day leaders seem intent on giving it all away, all so they can be the most virtuous in the room. Well, once again, another week in another rant. If you like this content, do click that subscribe button, and please, if you are in London, do stay safe, but also don't let this put you off visiting London. London is still a great city. It's just a shame this country is run by the most incompetent of leaders. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Alex, and keep progressing.